Now you may be asking yourself, what in the heck can a banker from Oklahoma tell me in Jacksonville, Florida, about borrowing money or anything that's useful? I want to invite you around to the other side of the table in the loan discussion. I want you to see from a banker's point of view what's going on in your dialogue when you're asking for a loan. So you can be part of this evaluation and know what the issues are and how you can come prepared to make your best case. I'm fully aware that modern day bankers are descendants of the money changers that Jesus kicked out of the temple. So we have much for which to ask forgiveness about. When you go to meet a banker, the fact of the matter is the banker is applying for a job. It's not you. You were told earlier to go talk to 10 bankers. Well, if you're going to hire an employee, you'd interview 10 people. So the banker's applying for a job, not you. From their perspective, if they don't make good loans, they don't get to keep their jobs and they don't get to feed their family. They're not doing you a favor by making you a loan. You're doing them a favor by borrowing their money. Lots of people are trying to sell money, and so you're doing them a favor. That should be your perspective. It should be their perspective too. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like that, though. Sometimes bankers think they're in charge because they get to decide whether or not to make your loan. I believe that knowledge is power, and I want to give you the knowledge to empower you to get the financing you need and you deserve. My goal today is to help you understand how to structure a loan proposal so that almost every bank in town will want to do your deal. I want to tell you the issues you need to address, how you need to address them, and to shift the balance of power in the discussion in your favor. I want you to be in a position of saying yes or no because they want your loan. And that's the way I want to talk about it today. First, let's talk about how to choose the right banker. And the fact of the matter is, you get to choose. You don't just have to take the first person that you wander in to see. The things that you need to be thinking about is their qualifications, someone who likes to make your kind of loan. Secondly, someone willing to be reasonably creative and thoughtful in structuring the deal. Third, someone you can count on if your business takes a short-term downturn, as many have in the last 3 or 4 years. Fourth, someone who's likely to stay at the bank long enough to meet your needs. 5, someone who either has the authority to approve your loan there on the spot or has the influence in the bank to get the loan approved as they go through the process. 6, someone smart enough to explain your deal to others. They're your personal advocate inside the bank when they're talking to people who approve loans, the credit department, bank examiners, and that sort of thing. So you need a smart person that understands your deal. And finally, someone you get along with, someone you enjoy talking with over a long period of time as your financial partner in building your company. Now let's talk about what does that look like. At the very least, you should ask, is this banker like to do my kind of deal? And that may sound like that's hard to find out, but it's not. Turns out people like to talk about themselves. A early question you should ask is for the banker, what kind of deals have you had a lot of success at doing? Who are some of your best customers? And they may not give you the names, but they'll talk about their success stories, the kind of deals they've made that have been successful and have been a lot of fun. If we had time, I would tell you about my success stories, but I'd bore you. So ask them what kind of, and after they've talked to you about the kind of deals that they really like, ask them what kind of deals have they had horrible success at, that have just gone terrible. If it turns out that's your kind of business, say, you know, I've enjoyed this discussion. Is there someone else I can talk to that likes to do my kind of deal? I'm in this business, and there are specialists in the banking business. There are people who do different kinds of deals. One of my favorite colleagues that's been with me since 1980 as a lender, he's fantastic. He's exactly the guy I'd recommend you to unless you're in the restaurant business. Early in his career, he had some horrible losses in the restaurant business. If you say restaurant, he's hearing spiders. He's hearing taxes. He's not going to make your restaurant deal. So you want to find out who does your kind of deal. And you can ask the banker. I believe everybody should have a good attorney, a good accountant, a good insurance agent, other financial advisors. Ask them, who are bankers that do your kind of deal and who doesn't? If you've heard that a particular bank has done a lot of foreclosures on businesses in your industry, that's not the bank to start at first. You find the successful competitors in your industry, in your community, who are they banking with? Those are the banks that lack that kind of deal because it's been very successful for them. So start off finding somebody that likes your kind of deal. Secondly, you need to know that they're willing to make reasonable, creative risks. And by that, I don't mean to make a 5-year loan to pay this year's taxes. That's not creative, that's stupid. You need to be reasonable in what you're asking them to and see are they going to be responsive in thinking about that. You know, my experience has been there's 4 kind of loan officers you might run into from time to time. One makes a high volume of high-risk loans. Don't get that kind of banker, they're going to get fired. They're going to make bad loans and they won't be there when you need them. A second makes a low volume of low-risk loans. Don't get that kind of banker either. They're going to go to the credit department because they aren't earning their keep making loans. The third kind is someone who doesn't make loans at all. That's bad news. Your bank failed. That's the FDIC. Don't go to that bank. Finally, find the kind of lender that makes a high volume of high-quality loans. That's what you want. That kind of banker has a good reputation inside their organization. And in our case, if it's Hank and he's the rising star making all these good loans, Hank brings a loan to the loan committee, they're going to say, yeah, that makes sense. And so you want to find somebody that is well regarded within their institution. You can find out how the banks are in this community. All bank information is widely known through FDIC.gov. Go to FDIC.gov, pull up your bank, and you can find out all kinds of things about banks. You can find out, are they making loans or not? Are their loans growing or are they not growing? You can find out what kind of problem loans they have, not by category, but how many relative to their total capital. You want to find a bank that's making loans and it doesn't have too many problems so they can address your deal. So do research on the banks. Okay, another thing is, if you were thinking about this loan officer as somebody applying for a job, you don't have to ask them for a resume, but kind of in the points of discussion, ask, what has been your work experience? What have you done? How long have you been in banking, and what kinds of things have you done, and where have you been? If you find somebody that's been in a new bank every 2 years, don't do that loan officer. Just like you wouldn't hire that person in your business, they're not going to be there when you need them. Now, I've been at 3 banks over 39 years, so I'd be a relatively stable person to be with over a period of time. Find that kind of a banker. Better to be with a steady, I'm going to be there when you need me, rather than a racehorse that may or may not. Another question to find out, in banks, individual lenders have authority to approve loans up to a certain amount, and it's usually based on their experience at the bank and in the industry. You want to find somebody that either they have the authority to approve your loan, or they have the influence inside the bank to get your loan approved. So you might inquire to the extent that they will tell you, how does that work in their bank? What's the authority structure? How does this work? And what's been your success at building business? Also, when you're interviewing this person to see if you want them to be your banker, you want to know, is this person competent? Is this person able to be my advocate inside that bank? They need to be able to go to a loan committee or to go to the credit department, or we all have the wonderful joy of having bank examiners on a regular basis, like the dentist, and we have to be able to explain the deals we've made. And so you want to have a loan officer that understands how you're organized, how you fit in your market, what you're using the money for, why the terms and conditions are a good deal for the bank, and how you're going to pay it back. If they can't explain that, if in your conversations with them they don't understand that, you don't have a good advocate. So you need a good advocate inside the bank that's competent and knows what they're doing. Obviously, there's other considerations. You want somebody who is easy to get along with. You know, somebody that will listen. Somebody will answer when you ask a question. Somebody will return phone calls. You need to find somebody you can get along with, and hopefully you can build a long-term partnership over a number of years. So that's point number one. Choose a really good banker. Shop for one and find a good one to back you. Secondly, Bankers speak a foreign language. And some of you have already told me that. You understand there's a foreign language coming from the other side of the table. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of banker words, but there's 3 you really need to know, and they all start with C. There's the character of the deal, the capacity to service debt, and the collateral being pledged for the loan. The 3 C's that are cardinal words in banking. Let me tell you what they stand for. Character. This does not mean that you are a real character. That could be a bad deal in terms of your loan. What it means is that, does this person mean to pay me back? Do they have a track record of paying others back? Do they know what they're doing? And can they pay me back? What's the character of this deal? And what a banker is going to do to check out your character, they're going to get a credit report. You need to get your own credit report and find out what it says. If you don't have good credit, that's a problem. You need to work on your credit to get your credit score up, because they're going to check it, and that's going to be the first thing they're going to look at in credit. Secondly, they're going to call other bankers to find out that you borrowed money from in the past. How did you do? Did you get your financial information there when it was supposed to get there? Did you make your payments when you're supposed to make your payments? Did you do what you say you would do? They're going to ask about your current job and previous jobs to see what kind of a person you are, what kind of a background you have that would suggest you're going to be successful at this business. So know about that information. Know that you're qualified to borrow this money.